Hello, hello, and welcome. I wanted to talk for a bit today about a strategy I use to help myself get unstuck when I feel a little bit stuck in certain patterns in my life, when I'm feeling a bit stagnant, when I'm feeling like I really want something to change in my life, but I'm not sure of either what I should be changing or perhaps the thing that I really want to change. It's just not at a place where I can change that thing so easily. For instance, like if you wanted to move, that's a pretty big mountain to climb to like find a new place to live. And maybe you have to sell your old home or whatever the ties are that are connected to that home. So you might be feeling that you want that change, but that is perhaps a little bit too extreme. So, what can we do then on a little bit smaller of a scale to actually help us to get towards the bigger vision of what we're looking to create? It's no shock or surprise that what I'm going to share with you is all related to the path of yoga, the path of meditation, mantra, pranayama, the breath. Why this system is so effective is because you are working with your energy body. You're working with your physical body, yes, but you're working with this whole very intricate energetic system within the physical body. And that energetic system also impacts the various patterns and thought processes of the mind. A lot of sacred teachings will tell us that our whole life is coming from our own mind. The Buddha says in the Dhammapada, all that we are is created with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. So everything that we see, we are creating it. You have the Kabbalion, which is the first law, the law of mentalism. So everything is created from the mind and created from the vibrational frequency of the thoughts that move through the mind. If we look at the word mantra, as in chanting a mantra, you have a couple of different variations to leap over the mind, a vehicle for the mind, to protect the mind. I've heard all of those definitions, and all of those are saying that it has something to do with the mind, right? That the mind is very powerful. You either need to leap over your own thought processes, or you need to also protect your mind so that you're not influenced by another person's thought processes. So the mind is very powerful and it is also very vulnerable. And we should do all that we can do to master our mind, to focus our mind, to point our minds in a positive direction, in a direction of creativity versus destruction. All of this is in the practices of yoga. All of this exists whether or not your yoga teacher is focusing on this, teaching you about it, introducing it to you, whether or not you're aware of it, it is embedded in the roots of the yogic system. However, depending on the style of yoga that you do practice, you could only be penetrating at a very shallow depth, whereas some practices are going to take you much deeper into the system, which is then going to give you greater results. Not just physical results, but you're going to start to see things shift in your life. You're going to start to see certain wheels that have been stuck begin to move forward and to move the whole train forward in your life, which is ultimately where we want to go. Case in point, a very good friend of mine is in the midst of her yoga teacher training 200 hour. She loves yoga. This is how we met. I was one of her teachers back in the day, and then we became fast friends. And she was already going through a bit of a transition in life, which is a great moment to do a yoga teacher training if you feel that your career is shifting or your relationship is shifting or you're not quite sure of where to go. You've got some money you can spend, you've got a little bit of space, a little bit of time. Putting yourself in the sweet, safe refuge of a yoga teacher training program can be incredible. So she's in it, she's loving it, she's learning so much about the deeper systems of yoga, along with just putting herself through the experience because she has to practice a certain minimum of hours every week. She's got to move it through her system. And she's only been in this process for a couple of weeks, and there has been a tremendous amount of redirectional alignment taking place in her life. She had been thinking for months about ending a certain position. There was another one that was kind of sprinkling over here a bit. There was a lot of uncertainty and trepidation and what ifs, and this kind of like circling and feeling overwhelmed and da 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 da, and trying to look at all of these different puzzle pieces, but the puzzle pieces are not quite fitting together. And then a few weeks into moving herself through the process, through the practice of yoga, all of this energy is coming through her now. All of this alignment, her energy body is aligned. Her mind is becoming more aligned. Her vision is becoming more clear. Her priorities are becoming more clear. The action steps are way more clear, and she's been able to shift things. She's been able to let go of what she's wanted to let go of. She's been able to transform that relationship. She's been able to take on this new one. She's been able to organize her whole office and seeing it as a reflection of the clarity that she's feeling in her mind. This is the fountain. This is the fountain of youth, my friends. This is the fountain of energy. And energy is what is needed to break out of any pattern that we are stuck in, that is a negative pattern. And energy is also what is needed to sustain us in the positive patterns of our life. So, how then to bring that energy into the system? You bring it into the system through these practices: the physical body, the yoga, the mental body, the mantra, the meditation, the energetic body, the breath. And if you are practicing these things, these three dimensions of these things, if you're practicing that daily, even if it's only 15, 20 minutes a day, you are going to begin to feel a difference in your life force, in your energy. You can practice in your living room for free on YouTube. There are so many different teachers, so many different practices. You just have to get over your mental obstacle that is just sitting right in front of you like an elephant, not allowing you to move forward. So then how do we get through that obstacle? How do we get through the obstacle? The obstacle can feel so huge. You can feel so frozen in life. You can feel so scared in a place where you're looking back and feeling regretful and feeling a lot of self-criticism and a lot of harsh inner thinking. None of this is going to help you to move past the obstacle, to get into the place where you can begin. Ultimately, this comes down to your own personal willpower. I was listening to a priest, a father from the Catholic tradition. He was talking about angels and demon possession. And there was this very beautiful teaching in this lecture, which was that the priest was pointing out all of these different ways that Satan or the devil can take hold of the person if they're being possessed. But the one thing that they are not able to control at all is the human will. Your human will is your own, and nobody else can actually manipulate that, touch that. That is yours. However, there can be a lot of things that are put in your way to dampen your willpower, to distract you from your sense of will, to take energy from your sense of willpower. Like all of that definitely happens and can happen. But ultimately, as a human being, your gift, my gift, is that we have the gift of will. We have the gift of willpower. And so we then need to strengthen our willpower and also learn how to protect our willpower, learn how to recognize the things that we do in life that might actually take us further away from that connection of our will, as well as to recognize when we are in a really deep fog, when we feel like we just don't have the will and we don't have the energy, we can't, we don't want to get out of bed. I have somebody very close to me right now who is in this process. And, I've just opened myself to say, lean on me, like, let's talk about it. Let's get the energy moving. Let's at least do some things to bring you out of that space where you feel so isolated and alone. And let's just start talking about it, and let's start connecting and just moving the energy a bit. And that's one way of doing it, right? But then if we just stay at the level of talking, we're probably just going to be circling the drain on the same fears and the same things that happened, or the things that aren't happening, the things that we're not doing, but we should be doing, and not feeling good. And we're just kind of continuing to talk and talk and talk. And the talking is just kind of amplifying the problems, but it's not really getting us to a solution. So that first phase of talking, it's good for opening the channel, getting things to move initially, but then we need a little more energy because we want to come away from the talking and more into the actionable doing. And what that takes is energy. And as somebody who is, a teacher, a mentor, we get our energy from the practices that we do. We get our energy from how we invest our energy into whatever it is that we're doing. So I can get energy from my yoga. I can get energy from my pranayama, from my meditation. I can get energy from a really good Pilates workout, a bar class that can also give me a lot of energy on certain days. I can get energy going to the gym, but I can also deplete a lot of energy going to the gym depending on how I work out. I can get some inspiration by watching a couple of videos on YouTube, and then I can completely drain all of my inspiration and my motivation by watching way too many videos on YouTube. I can get energy from certain foods at a certain time of day, and then I can completely deplete my energy if I eat too early in the day, if I overeat, if I eat the foods that deplete me. And so our job, right, as a human being on the planet is to try to understand all of that. Try to understand what are the puzzle pieces and what do I need to do to bring these puzzle pieces together? What are the consequences of my actions? If I spend 6 hours binge watching television, am I going to have the energy to then send out a resume and look for a job? Probably not, right? It's probably not going to feel that exciting. It's probably going to feel like even more of a chore to put yourself out in that way and to try to take a step forward in your life. As disciplined as I might be, I am a pretty disciplined person. I love making the disciplines accessible. I'm not about trying to do the most difficult thing for the longest period of time in order to achieve some massive, major adjustment in my life. I am more about how can I integrate in the thing that is easy enough to integrate in to a daily practice so that I can begin to receive those benefits. And then that opens up the door for me to take on more. I'm also not a big fan of, I'm going to quit this thing. I'm going to stop doing this. I need to quit doing this. What I've found to be more successful is to integrate in, to bring in things, practices that are more beneficial, that are going to bring more energy into my system. And then over a period of time, the thing that I really want to end, that thing that I want to quit, I naturally step away from it. I don't feel like I have to force it. I don't feel like I'm ripping off a band-aid. I feel like I'm having my process with it. And as I'm bringing more energy into my system and more positivity into my system, my vibration is beginning to shift. And those old patterns, whatever it is, maybe it's I'm sleeping in and I can't believe I'm sleeping so late. How am I going to get up earlier? Well, maybe instead of forcing myself to get up with an alarm, I'm doing more things when I am awake during the day to move my body, to get my body to sweat and to get my body to function in a way that I'll actually be tired a little bit earlier and less inclined to stay up later and then less inclined to sleep later. And so then I notice that I fall asleep a little bit earlier and then I start to get up a little bit earlier. And slowly, over a couple of months, it starts to shift into a much more positive pattern. This can also be very helpful for your own psyche to think of going through these different transitions in life on a seasonal scale, thinking I have to quit something forever or I have to do sit-ups forever. You're never going to want to do another sit-up, right? Because it's forever. And who wants to do a sit-up forever? But if I can commit to doing sit-ups for 21 days, for 40 days, for 3 months, well, I'm going to see some results. If I'm doing those sit-ups every day for 3 months, I'm going to see a tangible result. And from that tangible result will give me the inspiration to keep going. It will give me the inspiration to maybe even work on other parts of my body to strengthen, to tone, so that I feel better, that I have more energy, I look better, I have more confidence, which is also more energy. I'm bringing that energy into my work. I'm bringing that energy into my relationships. And this is where you start to really live your own life design. Okay, so then how do you break through that initial barrier, that initial block that is keeping you from just diving into yoga and meditation? How do you break through that feeling of freeze? How do you get yourself into that? And this comes back to the power of your own will and really needing to fight for your life here, needing to fight in a certain sense for your soul to be set free, for your soul to be on its mission. When we are in alignment with our soul's purpose, everything is in alignment. And when we are out of alignment with our soul's purpose, this is where we feel the most depressed type of state. We don't feel connected to our source. We feel disconnected. And therefore, a lot of things around us are also disconnected. I would say you have to begin with where you are. So it's not believable for you to all of a sudden make yourself happy in the snap of a finger, right? It's just not believable to go from feeling really sad about life or angry about life or whatever it might be, stuck in life, to then, putting yourself into this place where you feel infinite amount of freedom and high energetic potential. And even if you were to just somehow put yourself in that frequency, it's more so about being able to sustain that frequency, being able to really hold that frequency. So you could do something like a psychedelic that is going to open that channel and maybe give you a stronger, more compelling window into your own human potential. But if you don't have the skill set to really hold that awakening, it's very likely that you're going to find yourself back in that very depressive state of being. If you decide to take on yogic practices, you have to understand that in general, it is a much slower process. And this is very beneficial for your capacity to integrate and to build a practice that works for you, to learn a lot about yourself, and to also develop that sense of willpower that will bring you to your mat, bring you to your meditation cushion daily, and get you in that mindset of, even if I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it because I know that if I do it, I will feel a little bit better if I do it. And that is the trick, my friends. That is the whole trick of doing any type of spiritual discipline, knowing that you will feel better after. You will feel better. Now, if you don't feel better, then maybe this isn't the path for you and you need something else. But for the majority of people, you do a yoga class, you sit for a little bit in meditation, you chant some mantra, you work on your breathing. If you do that for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you are going to have a very clear result from doing that. So now it's about understanding that I will feel better. So I need to just get myself into the process and I need to do it. The key to keeping it consistent is to do what you love. Do what you love and do it how you love to do it. If you love a powerful vinyasa flow yoga class and you want to listen to Led Zeppelin while you're practicing your asana, then you do you. As long as you are getting those poses moving through your system and you're getting some sweat on your skin and you are feeling good at the end of it, that is a great opening. It's a great opening. I would recommend that after some time, we start to explore some more subtle practices and go a little bit deeper with things so that you can become more aware of the subtle inner workings of your own consciousness. But in the beginning, do what you love to do. If you want to practice yoga at night, practice yoga at night. If you want to practice early in the morning, practice early in the morning. If you're brand new, if you're not sure about practicing online, like on YouTube, then you need to find the studio that works for you, the teachers there that are good for you, the price that works for you, the location that works for you. If all of that adds up, then you want to sign up to a membership and you want to just start putting yourself in classes. Take all the beginners classes, take all of the slower classes, start to slowly build up and just get your body, get your mind-body system into a pattern of conscious breathing, conscious physical movement. Asanas are better than the gym on an energetic level. So if what you're really looking to do is really change your mindset, understand things at a deeper level, you're not going to get that understanding at the gym. You're going to get that with a really good yoga teacher at a really good yoga studio or online. A gym is great though, right? A gym is great for strengthening. A gym is great for challenging your discipline. A gym is great for endorphins and dopamine and also maybe community. So integrate the gym if you want that, integrate that. But the gym alone is not what's going to move you out of your state of consciousness. You need other things, meditation, conscious breathing, that is then going to help you to move past the obstacles. There is a video on my channel right now, which is essentially guiding you through just 3 minutes of cat-cow, which is powerful breath, powerful movement, chanting a mantra internally as you're doing it. And this 3-minute Kriya is said to awaken everything within the subtle body system. So for many people, if all you have is 3 minutes, stop, drop, and cat-cow. And move your energy and move the frequency and focus your mind for those 3 minutes. And then if you can do it for 3 minutes here and 3 minutes there and 3 minutes here and 3 minutes there, well, then you have 12 minutes of doing that practice of putting that energy through your system. And then you start to build upon the positive vibration. If you think about wanting to get out of a negative cycle, you want to get out of a negative pattern, the only way to do that is to introduce a more positive pattern into the system. So again, it's not just about saying like, no, I won't do this, I won't do that. It's more about bringing the positive energy in, bringing the positive action in, and doing that again and again and again and again. That will create the pattern. The pattern creates the momentum. Now I have more energy. Now there is a frequency. Now I feel things are beginning to come into alignment because there is this energy and there is this positivity that is now moving through my whole psychic system. And then things are becoming aligned. And like my friend in the yoga training, she's letting go of this. She's doing more of this. She's super excited. She's seeing the horizon. She's out of the depressive fear, uncertainty that is always trying to pull us down. It lives within all of us. None of us are above it, not even the richest person in the world. Everyone has this scarcity, fear of death, fear of the ultimate unknown, like that is living within our system, that is in the yogic texts. So being able to, right, get enough energy in the system to then rise above that, to get the lotus to come out of the mud and into the light, essentially that's where we want to be. That's why we do these practices. It's not about looking a certain way. It's not about thinking that we are these Buddhas and these perfect people and we're so righteous. It's just about having some energy, having some clarity, some wherewithal, activating our own will so that we can consciously create and live the life that we're able to live. And of course, some things are going to come to us by way of luck, by way of karma, by way of blessing. We can look at some people and be like, wow, they didn't have to work nearly as hard as I have to work. And this is just the blueprint that we've been given. It's not about comparing it to what other people are doing or what they need to be doing. And for you, you might not need meditation or mantra or yoga or any of this, and that's fine. I pray that you have the thing that works for you, that compels you to get out of bed every day, to focus, to be a good human, to have beautiful relationships, to bring something positive onto the planet. Go, be, do, share, whatever that information is. Give it to other people so they can lean into that as well. I don't expect everyone to fall in love with yoga, to fall in love with these practices. And I know that there is a very big movement to try to diminish the power of yoga, the power of becoming more awakened, becoming more conscious. And it's fine. It's fine to make fun of these things and to poke fun at these things. And also, I pray that those cynical Instagram accounts, I pray that as much as we're making fun of people and we're being a bit more cynical, that we're also still holding space for people to come in and to explore things that are a little bit off the cuff of, whatever the mainstream is saying is, permissible these days. When I first started to consistently explore Kundalini yoga, I was looking at different teachers online, and I found a series of teachings where the sessions had been condensed down to like under 20 minutes. And for me, I knew that I could commit to doing a 20-minute practice every day. There was some moment in my life where I could fit that in, no matter what I had on my plate. If I felt like I wanted to make food and I hadn't practiced, okay, I'm getting hungry. Well, why don't I wait just 15 minutes, do this practice, and then eat? And that just made it so easy, which is why I tend to keep a lot of the Kundalini practices here. I try to keep them under 30 minutes, as well as I try to deliver them in a way that's maybe more easeful than some of the more high-powered, intensified practices, because I want them to be accessible for you. I want them to be something that you can put on and you can do it, you can accomplish it. It's not going to be a huge hill to climb. It's not going to be the easiest thing either, but you know that you can do it. And I would say anything that you find online that motivates you in that way, to just collect those videos so that you can come back to it and really get yourself out of bed, get yourself out of the fear state and onto your yoga mat and into your breath and into your body. And this has been my go-to strategy for over 20 years. This is what I share with my students, with my clients. It has very tangible results. You just need to find the right teacher and get yourself into that pattern. I believe in you. I believe that you can do it, and I will be praying for you. Thank you so much for being here today. I look forward to hanging out with you and sharing more in the future. Much love and many blessings.